Many of you will remember my 2007 Passion Red XC90. This is a car that I fell in love with last year, and it was something that was truly love at first sight. I had to buy it the moment I saw it, even though I knew it had some issues. Originally, it had 182,000 miles. I drove it for a little bit, check engine light came on, and the transmission code, the dreaded orange triangle, accompanied it, and I was a little concerned that this could be a very expensive repair. I went to a shop, they did a fluid flush, and they said this might make it worse, this might just buy you some time, or it could be all it needs. I was an optimist, but they needed a little bit more convincing than me. We went ahead with the flush, the vehicle passed emissions, it was registered, good to go, everything seemed okay. I drove it all around Southern California. This thing accompanied me on many adventures, including getting Dave's surprise birthday gift, the Volvo XC90 from San Jose. We put this thing through a lot, and it really just takes it very well. It's a beautiful car to drive, so much fun, and it's quickly become one of my favorites. All of my friends are septuagenarians. They're in their 70s. And one of my younger friends, his brother, is only in his 60s. He's a disabled senior. He needed a vehicle and something simple just to get to and from doctor's appointments or those emergency prescription visits or just to grab some groceries. He lives in a rural part of southern Nevada, about 450 miles from home. And so I decided to loan him my vehicle, kind of like as an emergency use only. And I knew that Nevada had elevation, it had snow, and it had these beautiful mountains. And cold winter temperatures are exactly what Volvo is designed to withstand. But this is a vehicle that basically had warm California climate its whole life, as far as I could trace it back. So just before loaning it, I invested a little bit into preventative maintenance. Valve cover gaskets replaced with the fluid changes for the engine, the differential, the coolant, the brakes, and the angle gear. It drove there fine. I had every confidence in its mechanical condition for the months ahead of minor use. It sat under a carport, so I knew it was kind of protected, and with his situation, I didn't want any issues to arise should he need to make a doctor's appointment visit, pick up some prescriptions, or those groceries. Now, given the nature of the rural area, there are no Uber services, there's no taxi out there. It's a cool spot, but I wanted this to be a good vehicle for him. As the months progressed, and his situation did as well, he was able to finally buy his own car, and the loaner period for my XC90 was finished. So it was time to pick it up. So my friend, this guy's brother, and one of his friends went down to visit him and started driving the vehicle back. It was expected to be here just before 4th of July, and in all that meantime, I was very preoccupied with the 164 restoration stuff. But I was very excited to get my little Red Dragon back in Southern California. Thursday morning comes around and I wake up to a series of phone calls. When I finally answer, the one that wakes me out of my slumber, "Hey, David, sorry to wake you. So, your transmission in the red car's broken. We pulled over, left it on the side of the highway. But don't worry, we put a note with your phone number. And we were out of cell service, so we had to keep driving. And we've got an appointment back home tomorrow, so we can't stick around. But this was about 2 hours ago, and we didn't drive it far. It's right by the border." Well, that was a lot for me to process immediately after waking up, but I gathered whatever details I could get from these honestly non-car people. The orange triangle pops up, followed by the red doomed triangle with a transmission failure message, probably the same one I got last year. After that, a loss of power on a mountain grade. Sounded like we were slipping. They said there were no fluid leaks present, and they said that they pulled over. Probably sounds like they did it early enough to prevent a total mechanical failure. However, my options were limited. Towing it with their AAA premium membership, that's the highest tier in the country, would only get it about halfway home. And then $10 a mile after that. So that would be about $2,000 for the remaining 200 miles after that premium membership limit. Plus, I would have to be added to their policy, and I'd have to be present to receive the tow truck. Not really convenient for any party involved, but thankfully, my friend was willing to accept the cost of me going to retrieve my car since they were not able to do it. Just had to be some other way. But hey, you better hurry before California Highway Patrol impounds it, or it gets vandalized. Oh boy, this put me into full panic mode. Oh, also, you gotta come pick up your keys from my home. It's another 120-mile round trip. Woo. Now, this is where I have the flexibility in my schedule, and I have to say thank you to you, my YouTube viewers, and my patrons for the support that allows me to take a day or two and solve this kind of emergency. I had to make some phone calls, I gathered my wits about me, and I came up with a game plan. I I reserved a U-Haul trailer that very morning, and in the evening I went with my friend Roger and we picked it up, and then I immediately headed down to Orange County to get the keys for the XC90 and drive right back. Grabbed a few hours of sleep, and then woke up at 3 a.m. the following morning to start our adventure. This is the old turn and burn with truck and trailer heading for the border. It was anticipated to be a 14-hour drive, about 16-hour day total, and we got to see some beautiful views near Yosemite Valley, Mammoth Lakes, all these nice mountain ranges in western and southern California. Really cool stuff. We had a pin drop, we had GPS coordinates with the approximated last known location of the vehicle, and I just kept my fingers and my legs crossed, which means no bathroom breaks. Thankfully, it was there, and it was complete.
It just said it was cleared.
Cleared, huh?
So it means they checked to make sure nobody was dead inside.
Oh, I've missed you so much. I really have. Please work. Now all of a sudden traffic's noisy. Woo, love that V8. Engine? Check.
Is this one where you can check the fluid or not?
I'm told that under the airbox will be the dipstick. I'm gonna see if I can. I cycled through the gears. Reverse, neutral, didn't clunk into drive, low, okay. Let's hit the road. Started driving, going up and down the highway a little bit. Once it warmed up though, a little bit of noise in the transmission, a little bit of slipping, but no triangles, no check engine light, and I wasn't gonna push it on the drive so that we didn't have to push it up the trailer. So its final resting place was right there, 15 miles from the border with Nevada. Again, this only had 5,000 miles since the transmission flush, and looking at the odometer, he only drove 10 miles in the last 4 months, and then they drove it forward about 35, 40 miles away from the house where it left. Unfortunately, I knew to be prepared for the inevitable. Transmission failures plague this generation of P2 Volvo cars. In fact, part of me is pretty surprised that I got 5,000 miles out of that transmission flush. It's too bad because it made it there in beautiful shape, and now all of a sudden, this. And we're up. Okay, lock the wheel, set the parking brake, jump over a couple of hurdles here. Sometimes the Volvo rescue needs a rescue. Oh my goodness, another red Volvo getting towed. Oh, that was good timing for that, but bad timing to try to pay for a new transmission. Oh boy. Here we go. Anyway, U-Haul thankfully had a wide enough trailer. And I really have to say thank you to Roger, aka Father Christmas Volvo, Father Volvo, whatever it was. This 2012 Duramax 6.6 is gonna tow our baby back home. So be it. She's great. The tow itself was actually quite easy. A little bit comfortable too in this 2012 Chevy Duramax that we had. California limits towing vehicles to 55 miles an hour, and police presence was pretty dense during the holiday weekend as the commuters began their 4th of July road trips. So it took a little bit longer getting back home. The 90 with the trailer weighed almost exactly 7,000 pounds. Fuel economy on our trip computer was between 15 and 17. Not bad considering all the mountain grades and just the nature of a big diesel. And the only difficult part was just braking in a hurry when those green lights would change. Now, after yellow, I'm told that they turn red, but I never really stopped to look. So a total of 15-hour driving. Exactly 7 p.m. we arrive back in Northridge, California. We go to drop off the trailer. 24-hour rental in town, which means same pickup and drop-off location. Came out to just $81, and diesel and food cost right around $200. That's a much more cost-effective option than going to AAA at that distance. Well, that was enough for one night. I'm gonna wake up early. I'm gonna take the car to a place called Russ Transmission in Northridge. It was recommended by an independent Volvo repair shop who has a 30-year working relationship with them. Now, here's the unfortunate part. The estimate that I got last year when I first bought the car to replace the transmission with just a LKQ salvage yard used unit that was a known driving one, between $3,000 and $4,000. That just so happens to be my budget for the VCOA Nationals meet this September on the East Coast, and unfortunately, a decision had to be made, and if you're like me, which I often tend to be, that decision is hard. Hard work, that is. No, I'm not going to replace this Aisin Warner 6-speed by myself. I don't want to put my body through that. Plus, I have nowhere to do the workout here, nor the time, nor the motivation, but my efforts are better spent working hard somewhere else, like moving Amy, that white 1969 164, along, completing Ivy, the green machine, the other 69 164, and then hustling to sell all those extra car parts while making videos to get the YouTube views up and try to recover some of that cost. Nobody said being one's own boss is easy, but they did say it could be emotionally rewarding. So having you, my viewers, and my patrons has been supportive and encouraging, and I thank you. Now I've got just over a month to bust my butt and try to get this expense taken care of. In the morning, I'll take it to the transmission shop, hold my breath for a little bit, and see what they say. But I want to believe that in this time, we can save the XC90 and finish the 164 and still do the cross-country drive. I want to meet you all out there. I want to say hello in whatever state you're in, if we can make that work. I believe I can do this. Do you? Let's go see what they say. Well, my people, I have an update. It is the day after 4th of July. I just spoke with the transmission shop. Here's what they told me. The car does have problems. There's a couple of codes for the transmission. There's one code for the variable valve timing. The two codes for the transmission, one of them was for the torque converter. The other one is whatever it was here. I'll put it up. And they said that it does need a rebuild. Now, the rebuild to get to the transmission and find out what needs to be rebuilt, that cost is $1,450. The rebuild itself will run somewhere between $5,500 and $6,500 total. That is including the $1,400 for the disassembly. And it's very labor intensive. That was the phrase he used. I don't blame him. It's a transverse mounted V8 with basically a front wheel drive transmission with a all wheel drive attachment with the angle gear. Not a great setup, but I like this car. And here's the thing. I want to save this car. I can't afford $5-6 grand right now. I'm saving up for my road trip, and my options are cancel the road trip, try to fundraise 10 grand for basically two things in 1 month. That's all that will do is just add a huge amount of stress to my life. Or I put this off, kick it down the road, or sell the car at a loss, but I can't. I really like this car and I really want to keep it going. And the cost of the repair will at the end of this give me a car that is good, and knowing the transmission's rebuilt, that'll keep it on the road for a while. These engines are nice, and so far I've had zero big issues with the V8. I need to save it, but it's just going to be a while. It seems the best thing I can do right now is put this car into storage, which will have some cost associated with it, so I really got to get to working on it sooner than later. But yeah, it just seems to be the best option is find a way to make this work. So it seems like I've been in this exact same situation when the engine in Ivy ended up falling apart, but that's a restoration project. This is a little bit different from Ivy's engine that needed the rebuild, and that's where Patreon really came into play. But I am going to show you this journey and every step of the way, because ultimately I'm trying to rescue a passion red V8 XC90. They didn't make many of those, and on top of that, I know it's a good daily driver because it was for the first year of my ownership. Originally, when I got the call from the shop, I said, you know what, let's go ahead and do it, and I'll just find a way. And I kind of retreated into myself. I was in a very dark spot where I was like, look, I'm just gonna have to go into the cave and put videos out as fast as possible, as much as possible, because I essentially had a 3-week timeline to pay for this bill, because they were gonna be ready in about 10 days, and then I would have their grace period of 2 weeks where I'm out working on Ivy to finish that project to get to this. And I didn't want to cancel the trip because I knew I would really regret it. I wouldn't get to meet all of you guys across the country, and I wouldn't get to go to the national show. And on top of that, it's the 20th anniversary of 9/11, which is kind of a weird thing to throw in here, but that that day was a big deal for me, and I would like to actually be in New York City for the anniversary itself. So that's neither here nor there right now. But we're gonna save this car. I'm gonna find a way to make it work. And thank you to my patrons. Thank you for everybody watching this video. And you know, I gotta go pick it up tomorrow because unfortunately they got the green light for me to start working on it, and then cooler heads prevailed. I sought the advice of friends and family, and I don't have to cancel my trip, but I did have to call them about 90 minutes later and say, please stop and put the car back together. I hope it's not too far gone or too far along, because I need to do this a little bit later, right after my trip. That would be a better time, because paying for it now only puts me in the red financially, and I wouldn't be driving the car while I'm away at the Nationals show. So I feel like I have the option to wait a little bit. So, all right, that's more stuff to figure out. We're just right in the middle of this drama. Do you see that S60? And gosh, I get excited about all the Volvos that drive by. My 240 is still up for sale. I would be recording this out, but the street level's too loud. But that car, you know, that car is my budget for Gettysburg and the Nationals. So at least there's that. Okay. Whew, somewhat of a game plan. I am not good at all these different stresses. I get very easily overwhelmed. I like to focus on one thing at a time. So anyway, thanks again, and we'll talk soon.